Cheers. Okay, let's do this again. Start again. Cheers. Halloween episode. Happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween. This is the first Halloween I haven't had a costume in a while. Like a true costume.
And this is the first Halloween I've actually had a costume in a while. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you hanging in there, James?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10, how hungover are you right now?
It's not hungover. I'm still drunk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you get any sleep last night?
A little bit.
Where'd you go? Core?
Core.
Is Core like bumping these days?
That's fun.
Yeah, it's popping.
I enjoyed it.
So what is it like since you... Okay, first of all, let's just...
So what is it like to be in the world?
to be social.
Yeah, to be social.
No, first of all, let's real quick recap. You know what's going on with your situation because you just got back to China.
Yeah,
you just finished quarantine.
Yeah.
Right.
So for all the people that wants to know how to get into China right now, basically first you have to apply with the consulate for a special visa, either visitation for family or work. Right. Once you get that visa, they make you go get a COVID test, and then you send that result to the Chinese consulate. They give you a QR code that's a countdown timer of 72 hours for you to board the flight.
Oh, shit.
If you miss that time window, you have to go get tested again, go through that process. Right? You get on the plane, however which way it routes you into China, and then once you get off the plane, you get a test. And then
is the test a nose swab or a throat swab or what is it?
Nose.
Yeah.
You get off the plane. The first thing they do is take your test, and then you go into quarantine. So 7 days, hotel, if you have your own place. So like Justin, you would be in the hotel for 7 days, and then 7 days at home here.
Well, not unless if you have a family member already or a roommate, then you can't.
Yes, you can. They have to stay home with you.
Yeah, they have to stay home with you.
Yeah.
But so it's like basically you can't because no one. If a person who's already like free, they're not gonna jail themselves with you just so you can stay at home. I mean, some people might.
Some people, right? Because they don't have to be in the hotel for 14 days. And during that 14 days, you get tested after 7 days, and then you get tested again before you leave. So 2 more tests after that.
It's quite vigorous.
Yeah, it's fun.
But you were telling me your flight got canceled when you got to LAX at the airport.
So for everyone to know, it's right now there's no transfers from Taipei and Hong Kong into China. Just no transfer.
Yeah.
I mean, Hong Kong people can fly directly into China, but you can't come from another country to transfer into China through those 2 cities. Other countries are okay, but just those 2 cities, you can't do transfers. Don't buy the ticket that transfers from Taipei. They won't.
So
let
you were
board.
in the airport with your luggage, sitting at the basically at the terminal.
Yeah.
When they told you you can't transfer.
Yeah.
So you had to like cancel that ticket and like rebook a whole nother ticket.
Right on the spot, where they jack you in cost, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Don't remind me how much that ticket cost.
So it was a big ordeal to get your ass back to China.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Jesus.
It's not like, okay, I'm going to go to China right now. No. You go through hell to get all that done. And then in November 6th, they just upped the requirements more. You have to get a antibodies test as well as a COVID test. And if you have the antibodies in your system, you can't come in either.
So in other words, you can only be 100% COVID free.
Yeah.
You've never had it before in the past.
Yeah.
Then you can come in.
So what's up with the antibodies? Because I thought antibodies were a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just the new regulation.
I guess it means that you must have had COVID. If you have the antibodies, you must have had COVID to begin with. So any contact with COVID, like you're out.
Yeah.
You can't come in.
Yeah.
I guess that's the logic behind it.
Yeah. So if you guys are wondering what's it like in the States.
Yes, I'm most curious about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just there.
Let us all know what the
minus
hell
the
is going
quarantine
on.
time, right? Everything's normal. Nothing's crazy. I'll speak just for my own city, Vegas.
Yeah, where
You're in Las Vegas.
I'm in Vegas. I'm not in New York. I don't know what's going on in New York, right? I'm in Vegas, and everything is just everyday life is normal. Establishments like Target, Walmart, you have to wear masks. Costco, you have to wear a mask. Everybody has to wear a mask.
And people wear masks when they go in. And
you can't go into Trader Joe's if you don't wear a mask.
But I hear all these stories of people fighting and arguing and
Dude, just listen to
Yeah,
me.
but that's the minority
Media.
of cases.
It's media, right?
Media, right?
Well, it's not just media. I mean, like there are, but just like the majority of people are
just
following
gotta
the
go through,
rules,
yeah.
And most of the time, even during like the time where March, where everything was April was kind of crazy, everybody's still going about their day as normal. There isn't any panic. There's no the riots was the BLM riots. So that's a whole different story. But like in terms of COVID, everything's normal. Everybody goes do what they got to do.
Yeah.
You got to wear a mask when you got to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And now they take it seriously. Everybody wears a mask when they go into Costco. I'll put it that way.
In your town.
In my town, yes.
And how diverse is your town? Is it?
Vegas is very transient. So like, there's just a lot of people from LA. They'll come to Vegas from California. So
Is Nevada historically a red state or like a blue state?
it's historically blue, I think.
Yeah, is it?
But it's borderline.
It's borderline, right? Well, they sure love their guns over there. That's for damn sure, right?
Yeah. You could just walk in. So I moved there from California, right? There's a 10-day waiting period. You have to wait 10 days to get your gun.
To get your gun. 10 excruciating days.
What the fuck is that? Like what? So I went to Nevada, but I purchased it. And they let me take it home right there on the spot. I was just like, this is like,
It's heaven.
this like, that's how it should be. Like, what's the point of making you wait for 10 days? Oh, and I didn't know this until I got more into the there's no national database on gun registry. You think the government has a database that's
Like a centralized one?
Yeah, the centralized
But it's state
one
by state?
any state or fed. There is no gun registry that says this gun with serial number 1234 is registered to Justin Yang.
Well, no, there has to be. How? Because then what's the point of registering a firearm then? If there's no database for it.
One step at a time, okay?
Okay.
There is no database, period, okay? So the government does not know how many guns I have. When I purchase a firearm, they do a background check on my social security number. Okay. Have I committed any felonies? Have I done some shady shit? If your background comes up clean with no record, they sell you the gun right there, and there's no other recording. Get it?
So it's just a test to see if I can sell you a firearm, and that's where it just stops.
That's where it stops. There's no registry. I always thought that this gun was registered to me. If I lose it, they'll track it to me and shit like that.
Yeah, they can look you up.
No, they don't. They
What?
can't. Yeah.
Are you sure about that? How do you know?
I'm sure.
Is that just common knowledge?
I have a lot of guns, and I did my research. So, let's say.
That's some crazy shit.
Yeah, I
There's
thought
no
there
registry,
was. I thought the whole point of a serial number on a gun was so that they can trace it.
They can. So if it's found at a murder scene, right?
Yeah.
With that serial number, they'll go to the gun store, and the gun store would probably have my name.
Oh, so the gun store has to keep.
But it's not on a federal level.
Yeah, it's not on a.
Well, yeah, it's not like they can just search it on some
Exactly. I always thought it was just like in a cloud, where it's a database.
It should be,
Everybody has the name and how many guns they have, what serial number.
Yeah.
There isn't.
Yeah, but this is exactly the type of shit like Americans just don't like. They don't like. They like their privacy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
So when there's any sort of centralized database of anything, people get a little antsy about that.
So when I sell you a gun, we go to the gun store. The gun store does a background check on you for just the background check, right? Make sure you're not a felon. And then they transfer the gun to you. Now there's paperwork that says releasing from my name to your name. So there's the evidence right there. So that gun, if it future becomes involved in something, then they know it's under his name. But there isn't a centralized database.
Well, there's probably laws for gun retailers, firearm retailers, that they have to keep their own log of their buying and selling of back how many years, maybe it has to go back 15, 20 years or something like that.
Yeah. That's
so by law they have to. They have to comply.
Yep.
So that's, I guess, how they check. But yeah, then it makes it kind of you have to do an investigation instead of just typing into a portal. Will be like James Wu.
So I just purchased. Most people don't even buy this. I purchased
Of course.
I purchased a silencer. It costs $1,200, and you have to wait a year and a half.
You have to wait a year and a half. Why?
Why do you need a silencer, I guess?
No, but the year and a half, are they doing some sort of check on you? What is that year and a half?
They're just doing processing paperwork.
It's probably so people don't buy it on impulse. right? Like, oh, I want to fucking kill this guy. I'm gonna buy a silencer. I want to kill him right now. I want to kill him right now. Like, okay, we're gonna wait a year and a half to get it to you. And if a year and a half you still want to kill this guy, which
Maybe
you probably
he
won't,
deserves
yeah.
No, you gotta ask. Like,
But most people probably cool off by
like,
that.
why does anybody need a silencer? Right?
Yeah, well, it's to get away with something, right? That's the whole point.
When I found out I could buy a silencer, and I was like, holy shit, I'm buying a silencer. Like, why would I not want a silencer?
But that's only in Nevada you can buy legally a silencer.
Every state's different.
Yeah, every state's different.
But just know that you don't want to deal with guns in California and New York. All the 48 states, they're not as strict.
California and New York are the strictest.
They're the strictest. They're just, gun is taboo bad, basically. And yeah, in Nevada, I can have the handgun next to me in the glove box or a console and drive around.
Do you have open carry? Can you open carry? Or concealed carry? I mean, not concealed carry, right? That's the one.
Open carry is legal.
Uh-huh.
So you could walk out open carry.
Like literally walk out with the gun on your side and people see it.
And if you tuck it under, you become a felon. You just committed a felony.
So in other words, you have to show it.
You have to show it.
Has to be visible.
Has to be
clearly visible.
Yeah.
So what about concealed carry? Because there's people that are allowed to have concealed carry.
I paid $100 for a class, and it was 6 hours long, and we just talked shit about guns, and then I got my concealed carry permit.
You're allowed to conceal carry. James Wu is allowed to conceal carry a firearm in America with paying $100 in a 6-hour course.
6-hour course, yeah.
Well,
with the silencer.
Oh, God.
And the silencer is multi-caliber, so I could take it off of my 9mm and put it on my M4, the rifle.
The assault rifle.
Yeah.
Okay, can we just have a real quick conversation about this? Because I mean, obviously you're purchasing these weapons and accessories. So obviously you're very supportive of ownership.
Let me make an adjustment right there.
Sure,
okay?
yeah.
Because it's a misconception. If nobody has guns, I'm okay with not having guns. Like,
it's the fact that it's legal that you're going to take advantage of it. So you're like, why not?
If everybody kind of has guns, like, why would I not have a gun?
Yeah.
That's the
yeah.
But if there's a law that says nobody can have guns, I'm all cool with that. I think that's great. Like, shit, it's safer. I don't have to worry about the other person having a gun, right? Ever. Like China.
Does that go through your mind though? Does that go through your mind? Like, I need to protect myself because who knows what other crazy motherfucker is going to be out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody in Vegas not everybody, sorry.
A lot.
I would say 40% has a gun in their center console.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Like I can understand that
30%,
though. Like
30%.
I used to be pretty harsh, like anti-gun in terms of like the philosophy, like or like the reason why you would even have a gun.
Yeah.
But if I were to live in the States right now, I would probably also want a gun.
Yeah.
Because it's the idea of like every other motherfucker out there has a gun.
Well, right now, because of all the shit's been going down, right?
Well, that just amplifies it. Mm-hmm. But still, if a random dude, right, if James Wu can pay $100 for a fucking like concealed carry and a silencer,
Yeah.
right?
And you know James Wu's character. What about the people that you don't know who they
exactly.
are? And
Exactly.
their kind of character,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, why wouldn't I arm myself if everyone else can? Like, why would I handicap myself if everyone else is having guns out there?
Exactly.
Like, why even put myself in that position? Right?
Exactly. Right.
So I understand that. The thing is, when it, like, I don't know, I'm just guessing. Like, I guess the fear with like gun control is that people, even if you tell them like, oh, no one's gonna have guns, people are still going to feel like, well, some people are still going to be able to skirt the system, and there's still going to be some bad apples out there that are going to find ways to get guns.
Sure.
And then no one else is going to be armed but them.
Sure.
So then we're fucked, right? Is that the mentality, you think?
I guess.
It's almost like it's too late already.
Yeah, it's too late.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't put the genie back in the
We live in a
bottle.
country here in China where, nobody carries, right?
Yeah.
So it's legal. So there's no worry of that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
over there, even if they were to make it illegal, there'd still be a time frame of this adjustment period, right? And plus all the people that already own guns.
Well, there's so many guns
What, you
out there
gotta fucking
already.
collect all the
Like,
guns?
Yeah,
You
there's
know?
no way.
You literally cannot do it because who's going to go take a person's gun.
Yeah. It's like knock knock. Can I take your collection of guns, please?
Well, literally a civil war would break out.
Yeah, would break out. Yeah.
Yeah. What's already? Yeah.
Who's gonna go knock on that? Nobody's gonna do that.
You, James, with your silencer.
I'm waiting for James to buy a freaking missile launcher. Like, if anything, I feel like that's even more appropriate than a silencer.
What's the most badass gun you have?
I have a lot of badass guns, but the most badass one would be the 300 Blackout.
That sounds badass.
So I build all my guns. I don't purchase it off the shelf. I buy all the parts and I put it all together myself. Wow. So it's all just customized.
Okay.
My own barrel, my own trigger, everything's just top tier shit put together. Oh, this is stuff like SEAL Team 6 uses. Okay.
Wow. Because that's where you are.
So I can't really answer your question. Like, what's
though.
my most badass gun? And you just can't. There's no answer. It's just
because they're all so badass.
They're all pretty cool. I have a 9mm that holds Glock magazines. Do you guys know what Glock is?
I've heard the name Glock. Yeah, it's like standard issue for like police officers.
Yeah.
Right?
So Glock is the most widely used handgun. It's a brand.
It works underwater too, right?
No guns works underwater.
Oh no, I thought there were guns that worked underwater.
Because when the bullet comes out, it wouldn't. It'll just
the fire.
It'll lose speed too fast.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't get shot underwater.
Can't.
You can't.
Okay.
If it was like this, you can. Like
it was right there.
Right there. But it'll lose velocity right from here to that door. It'll have no velocity.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, back to the Glock thing. So the Glock is a handgun that you can put into a device that turns it into a
rifle,
like a rifle, because it's got the butt stock right here. It folds out, so you can take your Glock, put it in this device, fold that out. You put a 30-round magazine in there, so your handgun just becomes a machine gun looking type of deal. It's pretty cool.
And you have that?
Yeah.
You have all that shit?
I have all that shit.
Oh. Okay. So do you just do you just like prance around your house like with like your guns and like one in each arm, kind of like
full tack gear, like bulletproof vest, helmet, night vision.
Wow.
And what are your thoughts when purchasing all this gear?
I'm so cool.
Like, what do you do? I'm just curious. Honestly, I don't know.
The thought process is it's childish. Like shit, this is all the stuff that you want when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
There's no rationale behind it.
Just for the fun of it.
Just for the fun of it. What kid doesn't want to play with guns? So Nevada, if you guys come visit me, right? I load it all up in the trunk. We go into the desert. As long as you're half a mile from the freeway, you can start shooting.
Okay, those are the rules.
Yeah. So the land is federally owned. They're not private. It's called BLM land.
BLM land?
Bureau of Land Management.
Wow, okay.
Black Lives Matter land.
And then you can go shoot anywhere you want. So I would just take you guys to some nook and cranny in the desert. We put our own targets up, bottles, and just start shooting.
Yeah. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound kind of fun.
Are there laws where like okay, so there's laws where you can't drink and drive, obviously. Are there laws where you can't like drink and fire firearms? Is there anything like that?
If you go to ranges, yeah, you can't be intoxicated. But if you just went into the desert, who's gonna fucking know?
I'm saying like a cop like
if so happened a cop were to be there and you guys were drinking beers, shooting guns, like would you guys get fined or arrested? Or?
Haven't happened. I don't know. Okay. Probably not good.
What about like accidental fire? Because if you're saying like half a mile out and then you're just shooting around, but I mean bullets go pretty far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, James. They actually don't go that far because they like drop to the ground rather quickly, right? The bullet.
Oh boy.
The bullet succumbs to gravity rather quickly. Like
let's put a yardage to this. Rifles have an effective range, I think, 1,500 yards.
Oh, so that's a long way.
It's almost a mile.
15 football field. So there's two. There's
15 football fields.
There's a range where it still can kill someone, and there's obviously it loses so much speed that even if it does hit somebody, it won't kill them. So the effective kill range is I think the 1,500
for like sniper rifles.
Yeah. Distance wise.
What about handgun?
A lot less.
Yeah, I would figure like 3 football fields.
3 football fields.
Yeah, effective kill range around there.
How many football fields?
So would you guys buy guns?
I would.
Yeah,
I would. Like I used to. I used to be like pretty heavily on the side of I wouldn't.
yeah,
But if I were in the States right now,
yeah,
and I was in a state that was pretty lax about it, like Nevada,
yeah.
I'd probably buy one.
Okay,
just to have.
silencer too.
Just to have. Yeah, I would go all out. You know me. You know me. Like there's no in between.
There's no middle ground.
Yeah, if I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna go out. I'm gonna get concealed carry, the silencer.
I feel like Justin would
night
be like
vision goggles, everything.
double 15 like AK-47s. You know, like, hey, look what I just got.
But there is a lot of people that just don't understand guns at all. I'm
sure.
They just don't know how the thing works. They don't understand the physics behind it, even how a gun works, right? So they're ignorant about it.
I'm sure.
And then they're just very against guns.
Well, like, yeah, it really depends on your environment. Like, if you ask me, like living in China, would I ever, in my wildest dreams, want there to be like legal guns in China? Emphatically, I would say no.
No, I wouldn't either.
Emphatically, I would say no.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy the idea knowing that I can walk out on the street and not have to worry about getting shot.
Yeah, as a gun owner, I would want that too.
Like, I enjoy that, and I would fight for that.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the States where the genie's already out of the bottle, it's no going back.
Yeah.
Everyone else has a gun.
Yeah.
Okay, fuck it, I'll get one too then.
Exactly.
But I mean, I guess that's the problem. Maybe I don't know.
What is the problem?
That everyone fucking has guns.
That's a problem.
What is the problem?
That is a problem.
What's the problem?
When people are walking around with assault rifles,
Uh-huh.
like human citizens just walking around with assault rifles, like pretending they're like badasses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Trying to uphold the law in their mind. I think that's wrong.
But that's the minority of people. Like, let's make it clear. Like, the majority, as far as I understand, the majority of gun owners in America are responsible gun owners.
Yeah.
They're educated. They know how to take care of firearms. They know how to use it, and they're responsible about it. But you're gonna get bad apples who are just stupid and crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are the people you're gonna hear about, and those are the people out there doing damage.
Yeah, and criminals are gonna get their hands on guns regardless how many laws you come out, even if there are, complete ban. If you want it, you're gonna find a way. There's a way.
As long as there's money, there's a way.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, I wasn't expecting we were going to talk so much about guns on Halloween, but though you mentioned Black Lives Matter, so did that really affect you in Nevada? Was that in Vegas at all?
There was some rioting, mostly in LA. From my vicinity and what I could see, it was all in LA. Vegas, they kept it pretty under control because the casinos are mobs, right? They have their own security. You can't really go fuck with them. Yeah, but there's some demonstrations on the street, and I think the whole it's stupid. The whole thing is just stupid. I don't see the point behind it.
But can you elaborate on that?
All right.
Hold on. One second.
Yeah. A lot of worms in there.
Get the popcorn out. So I think America is already pretty good in terms of equality and treating everybody fairly. It's like the beacon of equality in the world. Okay? Like, I just feel like it treats minority with a lot of thought behind it. They're like, hey, let's make sure these people don't get, fucked over. Let's make sure that they're responsible. Hey, you can't say this word because they're going to get their feelings hurt. Fucking look at China, dude. You can do all those things, right? But America's like that one country that goes, okay, we got to make sure everybody is. And yet you get the most revolt from there. Why? Why is that? Why are you picking on America? It's already like setting the gold standard of being equal to everybody, right? But you have the biggest riots over inequality and all that bullshit. I don't get it. Go pick on another country. There's countries with far crazier racial injustice, right? Mm-hmm. But you pick America. Why?
Well, okay. I think off the top of my head, I think there's two things to address here. One thing is that we have to understand that, yes, in terms of outwardly, I agree with you. In terms of politically correct culture, right?
Yeah.
Diversity. These are all like always like at the forefront of like talk and discussion in America, for sure.
Equal
employment, gender equality, all these things. They're always a talk. But I think for a lot of people who live in disenfranchised areas and communities, I feel the talk does not match the reality that they're facing based off of what I am understanding from what they are saying, right? So I think
they're just crybabies.
I don't know if it's crybabies. It's like yes, you're putting out this message of equality, but that's not actually the reality of things. So it's like we're trying to divert your attention by talking about it, but we're not actually doing anything about it. Number one, okay, but that's debatable. That's completely debatable. So I don't really know. But my second point is what you have to understand is the current Black Lives Matter movement. Where did it spark from? Sparked from police brutality. So it wasn't yet this bigger issue of like all these things that we're talking about right now. But it was a very specific case of police brutality that kind of ignited the whole thing. And we have to understand that in the Black Lives Matter movement and camp, there are several different factions of people who are believing and pushing different things. They're not that united. There are people who are like, okay, we want to keep this message on police brutality. There are other people who be like, no, fuck you. It's our time to rise up and like take it back. There are also other bad players within the movement, like, trying to corrupt the message. I mean, it's not like this united front of people who are all on the same page. It's not like that. So, from what I understand, the real Black Lives Matter movement in its current form was really about fighting against police brutality. And of course, we saw what happened. And we've seen what's been happening. So if we just address that issue, I mean, that is an issue that I think definitely needs to be addressed. Never mind everything else, right?
Police brutality, if you confine it to just that, okay, we should address it. They should be better trained. There's no argument against that, right? Nobody's going to say we want more police brutality. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we should make it into a racial thing. The black, white, Indian, Asian, like it's not a racial thing. It's just police shouldn't be beating up people or killing them. Mm-hmm. It's not racial.
Well, it's easy for you to say it's not racial when you're not the one being beat up. But when you witness, if you're in a community of people that you think are only being targeted for like the vast majority of times that it's happening, then you're like, okay, wait a minute. There seems to be a little imbalance here. Like, then you're going to be like, if police were only brutalizing like Chinese people, then you'd be like, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck, dude? You would be the same. So it's easy for us to be like, okay, it's not a racial thing, which I agree on principle. Yeah. But if you're the one actually being brutalized and you notice a pattern where it's like, oh, it happens way out of proportion in your community versus others, then you're kind of like, okay, maybe there's a little more going on here.
It depends on how you portray yourself, I think. Mm-hmm. If you're like, dressed cleanly, you're respectful, and you obey whatever the communication between the officer and yourself, I don't think you're going to get beat up, whatever race you are. But if you address yourself in like, some
confrontational way, or like resisting,
or you're going to be like an asshole, you're going to be like just disrespectful, you're going to be like, you're dressed up in like this crazy ass, I don't know what you want, like fucking... Oh shit! And then, of course, you're gonna get picked on. It's how you portray, how you want it to be.
Well, okay. What you're talking about is stereotypes, right? So, like the stereotypes of certain ways of dressing or ways of behavior, right? Whether or not you want to call it as hip hop culture or street culture or whatever. Yeah. I think that's what you're trying to allude to.
Have you guys seen that Chris Rock show? Way back in the days, it's like how not to get beat by the police. Like, listen, be courteous, and then you'll be fine. I think that's fine. And back to that is like I think police do have to have certain protection to be, because they got to protect themselves. They in America, dude, it's not China. You don't know what the other person has in his hands. Unless you ban all guns, right? Then nobody has guns. I think we can reduce the level of police. Force, but if it's there and anybody like myself can have a fucking silencer, then the police has to have that level of protection.
Yeah, you're always tense. You're always on edge. Right?
You can't lower that degree to a place where it's like, oh, let me be so courteous to the point where, like, you know, I'm just gonna get shot. You know, so.
Well, I think the biggest issue is that there are a bunch of people, historically speaking, that get singled out, right, and even get approached by a police officer for whatever reason, get questioned and whatever.
Because that person looks suspicious.
Yeah, but the suspicious idea, I mean, maybe in your eyes is someone that's dressed a little more thuggy or whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe in a different situation where I've seen examples of they are not, and they're just black, or they're just, you know what I mean, a certain look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even like celebrities,
Yeah.
you know, like NBA players dressed nicely on the street get tackled by police because they thought they look like somebody. You know what I mean? It's just like I've seen these videos, and it's not like it's a lie. I mean, it happens. So on one side, I can understand what you're trying to say, James, which is, yeah, if you're cooperative and you know you're just like you treat officers with a certain amount of respect. If they treat you back with respect, everything will be hunky dory. Everything will be okay. But a lot of situations are a lot more complex than that. And that's where the imbalances come in. And that's where the whole movement stems from, is the fact that it is not balanced. It is not, you know, so black and white.
But the world's not perfect.
Of course.
Right? So, and in the police force, out of 100 cops, you're going to have like 2 or 3 bad apples in there.
Yeah.
And they're causing and there's 97 good apples in there, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to have.
I don't know about that.
And they're going to have.
Fuck the police.
Fuck the police. So I think the police have a pretty tough job.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And going forward, it's so tough now because, like, number one, who wants to be a cop now?
Right.
And number two is, like, if you're, like, a good guy wanting to, like, protect and serve, I guess, right? And be a police officer, like that job is just so much tougher for you now. And there's so much more stigma that goes with it.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of, like, defunding the police, I'm so against that. I think, if anything, you need to give the police more funding.
Better training.
Because all that requires funding. If you want better training, better quality of people, higher standards, better care, all these things and support, then you need to fund it more to increase it. If you fund it less, the police brutality is just going to get worse because you're going to get more and more like non-quality people in there. You know what I mean?
I think the other thing that we need to put into consideration is, like, yes, you have to ask yourself, why are these people applying to become police officers to begin with, right? So, I mean, I don't know the answer for that. It could be because I want to be a positive influence in my community and uphold the law. But it also could be, for some people, a power trip.
Yeah, I want to be a bully, or I'm a bully.
Or like by wearing the badge and carrying a gun, people better respect me. You know what I mean? And so
there are definitely cops like that.
No, 100%. And just by you can smell the smugness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they walk around,
They're dicks.
No, there are people, right, that, like, you see, and then when they hear, like, someone that they know, like, became a cop, they're like, that guy became a cop? Oh, bro, no. Dude, that guy should not be a cop. You know, like, people who know him and, like, grew up with him are like, well, that crazy motherfucker?
Yeah.
Dude, that is a bad idea for him to be a police officer.
And a lot of those guys,
and that happens all the time.
Police officers.
Yeah.
But that's just the way of the world,
Well,
right?
it's because it's a standard. Like, I'm speaking out of school. I don't know. But it seems like, it's easier probably to become a police officer than it is to be a doctor or a surgeon or a lawyer, right?
A different skill set.
Yeah. So when you lower the bar like that, obviously you're going to get a bunch of bad apples in there, right? But when you raise the bar, are you going to eliminate all the bad apples altogether? No. But you're going to make it a lot better.
Yeah.
And that requires higher standards, more funding, right? More attention.
More training.
Yeah, more training. all that stuff. More screening in terms of like who you let in to become a cop. It's like a surgeon. Not anyone can just become a surgeon.
I think, okay, so let's just brainstorm real quickly. I mean, maybe we don't need to spend too much time on this, but like brainstorm real quickly. What are some maybe some solutions that could be taken?
We're gonna solve this. We're gonna solve this right here, right now. On the honest drink, we're gonna solve police brutality. I'm not saying solve it,
but I'm just saying just like some ideas, right? So, for example, somebody just popped. The reason why I said this is because somebody just popped in my mind. I have never thought deeply about the police situation in America and how to solve it at all. But just now we're talking about it, so it popped in my mind. I was like, okay, well, what if there are different levels of power, right? So you have like your typical people, like patrollers, right? That patrol the town, patrol the city.
China the police?
No, just yeah,
because there's different levels of
exactly.
cops.
Yeah. So you got patrollers.
Well, China does have a pretty good system of policing.
Yeah.
Like think about the population here, and think about how little crime and how safe it is here.
Yeah.
Like they're doing something right. Like they're fucking doing something right. And you hardly ever see cops on the street, but like it's safe. Like everyone knows it's safe. You walk out here, you don't feel in danger at all. With all this population, the biggest population in the world, like come on. You know what I mean? Like they're doing something right.
But the level of criminality behind it, China, it's not as violent as the States in terms of violence, right? So here's all petty theft here, like a little robbery there.
But I think that is in part to do with the quality of policing you get and the quality of like and the danger you're in if you do these things. I mean, like it all comes together, you know? It's not just like we can't just sum it up as like, oh, Chinese people are just less violent. No, I think they can be every bit as violent as any other country or race. But the culture here and the system here has worked to a certain degree where when we talk about violence and crime, hey, I mean, it is pretty safe here. It is pretty good here.
Yeah.
I mean, that is pretty much undeniable.
Yeah. Talk to anybody. They all said the same thing. Safest city they've ever felt they've ever been in their whole life and all around the world.
Yeah. So anyway, I was sorry to cut you out, but like
no. So I'm saying like, what if there's like different levels of power, right? And so basically, any type of like one-on-one interaction, you have the least power. You know what I mean? It's all about like, for example, like for first level is just basically assessing situation and just checking make sure everybody is not breaking the law, street traffic, petty calls, blah blah blah, like that kind of stuff, right? And number two, your next level is maybe you have some sort of protection or some sort of like lockdown mechanism, handcuffing or something like that, but that's about it. There's no like killing, nothing that can kill somebody. You know what I mean? And then maybe the third level is basically it's like a bank robbery or like, there's a gun on site and stuff like that. You got to call in people with actual self-defense weaponry. So like different levels like that.
So like domestic abuse, there's the type of cops that deals with that.
Yeah, maybe things like that. Like for different categories of crimes, there's different cops. But that might slow down the response time because like if you're on site and something's happening, you have to call someone else in to handle this situation, and you're kind of almost powerless to do anything about it, right? I mean, I'm just picking holes in it.
Yeah, sure.
What I think would help, and again, I don't know what the numbers behind this would support, but I don't think a police should be a blue-collar job. Because right now, it's a blue-collar job.
Why do you say that?
Because I think the power and the nature of what police do requires it to be of a higher standard.
How do you categorize blue-collar then? I'm just curious.
I don't know specifically how collar, but is it not a blue-collar job? Being a cop is a blue-collar job. These people are not making the same as lawyers and surgeons are. They're not. It's blue-collar for the most part. So I don't think it should be that. I feel the standards should be raised so high to be a police officer where, number one, they're getting paid more. They're getting paid like a doctor would. But the amount of training and knowledge and quality of character and everything that needs to go into becoming a cop needs to be just as high, if not higher, to become one. So you get rewarded for it.
It's a good point.
So it becomes a high status job, like a doctor or a lawyer, right? And it's not blue collar anymore, and they're getting paid rewarded for that, but they have to take on that responsibility, right, in a responsible manner, where the screening and filtering of these people becomes so high that, like, you know, you're only getting quality people through. Now, obviously, I haven't thought this whole idea through. I mean, maybe by doing that, you're never going to get enough cops to control the population, and you'll have a numbers problem there, maybe.
Which goes back to the tiered thing that
yeah,
I'm
that goes
saying.
back to the tiered thing. So maybe it's a hybrid of the two ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's almost like elite forces, right? In a way, right? Yeah. So it's like the elite forces come in, aka the police officer, because you trained enough, you qualify mentally from an IQ level, from an EQ level, to become a police officer, right? So that when you get called in, it's because it's some major shit.
Because I'm just thinking in terms of like just logically, like, what other job asks you to put your life, besides the military, ask you to put your life in harm's way on a day-to-day basis and gets paid so little for it?
They don't get paid that little, from my own understanding. Cops in Silicon Valley, they work one day, they get the second day off. They work another day. It's all staggered like that.
Okay.
And they make around
Like 40, 50?
80 to 100.
No.
Really? Just your normal street cop?
Yeah, obviously not the first year, right? Let's talk about somebody like 5-6 years into the force.
I would guess like 40, 50.
We can look it up right now. It's somewhere close to 100K, and more.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, the cops are paid pretty well.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Then that just blows my whole argument out of the water. No, but because when you growing up in the States, you think of cops as a blue collar job. You don't think of that as in the same level as being a surgeon.
Yeah.
Right? It's like two different levels.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of status
Status,
in society and pay. Like surgeons can go home to their mansion and their penthouse, you know, like, you know.
Yeah.
But you don't really see, that's not how cops live on a whole.
Yeah.
Right? And obviously there's a lot more cops than there are surgeons, for sure. But what I'm saying is, I just feel, generally what I'm trying to say is, I just feel that standard to become a cop should be high, and it should be really hard to become a cop.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't just be like, hey, me and you out of high school, let's go apply to be a cop, go through police academy. Hey, we're a cop. You know what I mean? I think the screening should be like really strict, and it should be like really tough to become a cop. And it should be like really rewarding to become a cop. Like, oh, I made it there. You know, where you really value the position, where you really like hold dear like the work you put in to become a cop.
Yep.
Instead of just being like, hey, I'm a cop, okay, now what? You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
I always wanted to be a cop, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I never said that. You were like a motorcycle racer was almost, or Formula One racer.
That's like dream, but like, you know, as an everyday thing, just pulling people over, give them some tickets.
See, you're exactly the type of person that shouldn't be a cop.
He has like 50 guns.
How fun is this?
Like, we're talking about like power trips, right? Yeah. Like, and he's like, yeah, I was wondering, like, you could pull people over, give them tickets.
Oh, check it out. It's not.
I can bend them to my will.
It's not the power trip. I don't have that power trip where I get a high off of, you know, ordering people. I don't. I just think it's pretty fun to drive around, talk on a walkie-talkie with my buddy. Hey, you got that? Like you scan over there. I'll hunt them over here. Like for speeding, right?
The keywords, dude. Keywords.
And
I will hunt them.
No, like you get the radar. Check it out. You get on the overpass. So Justin will stand on top with his radar, shoots on the car, and then I'm in the other vehicle, like ready to go on the off ramp, like to go chase the speeders. How fun of a job is that to do that, right? It's like,
I don't know, like maybe for one time, but like do it on a daily basis.
You are the cowboy that cannot become a cop.
No, I would be very curious. I'd be very nice. Like, what's the problem? I don't say anything. Well, it's just, I think it would be a fun job.
Let's shift the conversation.
Yeah.
Let's
move on.
Let's talk about, well, just for the listeners, James, because of the things you're saying, I want people to understand kind of like where you're coming from and your background. Okay. So where were you born?
I was born in Shanghai.
So you're Shanghainese.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're full-blown Shanghainese.
Yeah.
I mean, you've lived in Shanghai many years, and you know.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 in terms of, I counted when I was like 36. I lived half of my life in the States, half of my life in China.
Yeah. So I think that's really important for people to understand when they hear you talk about these things, because you've had equal experience on both sides of that fence in China, and you're Chinese and you were born in Shanghai, but you're also very American.
Yeah.
Right. Quote unquote.
I can fit in both country like a fish in the water.
Yeah.
I don't get awkward like I'm feeling weird or I fit right in.
Yeah. Well, that's what I really appreciate about you, because like you are like
hybrid.
Yeah, you're really a hybrid. You're so ingrained on like both sides, right?
Yeah.
Like you can just go into like the most local Shanghainese, like hole in the wall here, and just like fit in right away. Speak Shanghainese with them, and just like understand the culture completely and live it completely. And you can go into like fucking Nevada,
In-N-Out Burger,
In-N-Out Burger with all your guns, and like you're just like in that community completely.
The only thing he's missing is a cowboy hat.
They always make fun of me for that because I drive a truck and I got guns. They're like, "Who are you?"
I'm actually pretty envious, just like you said, Justin. It's to be able to swiftly go back and forth on both sides so deeply is amazing.
Well, it's a privilege.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's a privilege because the problem is the vast majority of people in this world, no matter what country they're from, can't do that.
Yeah.
We're in a very privileged situation where we get to kind of like see both sides and talk about things with that experience and from that perspective. Whereas most people live their whole life in their own bubble. Now, whether that bubble is a racial bubble, a national bubble, a political bubble, whatever bubble. And of course, we're in our own bubbles in many ways. But in terms of when we talk about countries and nationality and all these subjects, we're not, because we have one foot on each side.
Yeah, we do.
Right?
Yeah.
Between East and West.
And I actually, so looking at my own life, it's really interesting because a lot of people come to China, for X amount of time, and then when they graduate, sorry, let me start that over. So people come to the States to study, and then
from China,
and then they go back to China. I kind of went the opposite way. So I came to China after college for 10 years, and then I went back to America for another 5 years. So I'm getting a lot of the duality. So I have like, you know how you stay in a place for a while and it kind of changes you for a little bit? Mm-hmm. You guys been changed by China for the past 10 years, in a way mentally, because everything. And then when I went back to the States, I felt like the States is changing me again when I was there. It's really interesting. So like I have a little bit more different perspective now than when I was living in China. It's really interesting.
That's a really good point, because you keep bouncing back and forth, back and forth.
5 years there, dude.
Where you're not letting one place completely reshape you too much because you keep bouncing back and forth.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. So like, okay, so what the fuck is going on right now with America in terms of, like, let's talk about the election, because the election is coming up, like next Tuesday, or when is it?
It's next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
What day is it?
November 4th, 3rd?
No, 3rd, right? November 3rd is the election?
Yeah, 3rd.
Is it the 3rd?
Yeah, I think it's the 3rd.
So I got my ballot in the mail.
Did you vote already?
The day my plane departed. So I couldn't vote.
So are you going to vote? How are you going to vote?
I can't.
So you're not going to vote?
I can't. I'm in China.
So who would you vote for if you could vote?
Trump, of course.
Okay, so here we go.
Yeah, I remember last time you guys had the whole Trump conversation with the other guest here.
We're not very fond of Trump on this show, but
well, this is a great conversation.
I was listening on the show. I was like, oh my god, I wish I could just chime in and like give them a different perspective on things.
Hey, the floor is yours, James. The floor is yours.
No, the floor. You guys ask the questions, and the same stuff, the topic that you guys talked about. I want to chime in onto it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trump.
Yes.
Why? Okay. You don't have to give your whole like soliloquy on why, but just give me some quick bullet points of why Trump.
I don't have the quick bullet points. Name. Okay. We'll start the conversation this way then. What has he done that's so bad?
Wait, hold on.
No, you think it's a joke, but seriously.
No. I get you. No, because you know me, James.
Yeah,
you know me. Like
you know me too.
I know. Like you know me of all people. Like I'm pretty open minded when it comes to this kind of shit, right?
Okay.
Here's my whole deal with the whole situation, right? And while I have admitted that of recent time I am very much against Trump, if you remember in the early days, right when he got elected, right? Yeah. Like me and you were talking, and we were like pretty like excited about that, the fact that he got elected. We're like, oh, he's like this outsider. Let's give him a chance. You know, like all this hate. Yeah. I was giving him like so much benefit of the doubt, right? And I was like, how cool it guys. Like, let's not rip on him. And I just felt like late night shows and everything, like they were bullying him, like, you know, so. Yeah. Okay, so you know where I come from. Okay. So I haven't always been anti-Trump. What I am now, though, after having listened, because I know a lot of people who are also pro-Trump. Yeah. Trump has a lot of support. Yeah. Let's not be naive about that. He has a ton of support.
Okay. Deep support.
Yeah. But where I stand now personally is that I almost just don't give a shit anymore, because I just feel like the whole thing is fucked up. The whole thing is corrupted.
The whole political system.
The whole political, but not just the political system. Everything, especially the media. So whether it's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, whatever it is, I've decided not to buy into any of them anymore. Okay. Because it's so obvious they're each just spinning their own agendas. Yep. It's no more objective journalism anymore. Sure. Like, that's dead in America. Sure. That's dead. Sure. Okay. So I've just removed myself where I like, okay, I can't fall victim to thinking that I'm right, I'm justified, because that's how the people that are on the other side, that's exactly how they feel about them, about their perspective and the people they support. So there's a certain amount of awareness you have to kind of exercise to be like, okay, this whole thing is just a fucking shit show right now, right? And whether you want to believe this or that, I choose to pretty much believe none of it anymore, because all of it has been corrupted. No matter what side you're on, all the messaging has been corrupted. Okay. All the quote unquote facts have been corrupted. All right. So to me, it's a cop-out kind of thing, but I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to believe. And I'd rather just not even like fucking pick sides, because I think the whole idea, the whole instinct to want to have to stake your flag on the ground of one side or the other. I have to be this side. I'm left or I'm right. I'm Republican or I'm Democrat. I'm red or I'm blue. I'm black or I'm white. I'm Chinese or I'm American. I'm like all these things. It's like, it's that very instinct in us to have to pick sides that I think is the fucking problem. Instead, we should just think as individuals without all the fucking messaging around us. And to me, right now, it's so confusing, and I have to admit, I just don't know what to think.
Preach on, motherfucker. Preach on.
Yeah?
I agree with you. I agree. You know the whole system is fucked, but
so right now, I'm not anti or pro anybody. Okay. Because I just think the whole thing is fucked.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, I think, okay, so I'm going to chime in. I'm going to add in real quick. Yeah. With Justin saying, because I'm wholly agreeing. And I think we've said this a lot, right, on the show a bunch of times about media being the biggest force of manipulation.
Yeah, it's been a recurring topic.
Yeah, forget about like left and right, forget about Republican and Democrat. I mean, media is just skewing sides in a really negative way that you don't even know what's fact anymore, right? So I agree with you 100%. Media is just like shit. But going on that, when you said you don't know who to believe anymore, you don't know who to trust anymore, I feel like at the same time, if one were to spend the time and effort to, I don't know, like read up or watch all the different type of media outlets that are sharing news, as long as different messaging based off of a same topic, you can kind of see the differences, right? And then you can kind of put it all together and form your own opinion. I mean, in the end, one thing that a lot of my friends hate when I say is that I think Trump, based off of his character and his values and the way he speaks and what he believes in and his lies, I don't buy into his value system. Okay. And then Biden is a fucking tool as well, and he's basically honestly, he's pretty much just a puppet. So both of them are just idiots, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And so then you have to ask yourself, you're in a situation now where you have no other choice Because it's not like you have a third voice coming up. It's not like you have any other options. Well, what do you do, right? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
All right, so let me set the. We kind of jumped into that a little fast. Okay, let me set the bar. Yeah,
head first.
Let me set the line here. I'm not saying Trump is a great president. Okay, I'm not saying he's a awesome. I'm not saying he's perfect. He's actually pretty bad president. Like, I think Obama's a better president. Like, just how he carried himself. But the problem right now with that is that I think Trump isn't as bad as people think he is, because they literally want to tear out his guts and set it on flame, right? Mm-hmm. Why do they want to do that? It's because they don't like him as a person. They just don't like him as a person. They don't like his demeanor, his mood, the stuff that he says. But they're so blinded by that hate. They're just, oh, I hate that guy so much. Oh my God, motherfucker, that guy. Like they don't see anything else that he does. Period. Like, that's how, and I think that's unfair to Trump.
Okay, like what though?
Well, not. What do you mean, like what?
What? Okay, so
everybody's on the bandwagon of fuck Trump.
Yeah, but take away his character. Take away that you're saying, right? You're blinded by his character. You're blinded by his personality. Yeah. Take that away. Okay, what has he done?
I think he's done a great job on the coronavirus. Yeah. Mind blown.
No, mind blown.
Yeah. So how are you gonna measure the job that he's done? Is it by the number of people die, or is it by the economy? What scale are you using? Is it just by
any of it?
By death?
All of it.
All of it?
Yeah. So let's take the number of affected, the number of deaths, and the economy.
Yeah.
Have any of those been trending in the right direction?
I think he did a great job by keeping the economy open and just not. Yes, people died.
I feel like the economy has been half-assed, and it should have been.
It would have been a lot worse if you closed it down longer, though.
Let me clarify a thought, though.
Yeah.
I believe if any president were in that position where the coronavirus hit, it would be a really tough job.
Yeah.
And things wouldn't be like so great right now if anybody was in there.
Yeah.
Right. So it would be a tough job for anybody. Okay. So let's just say that. So I'm being very fair about that. But we cannot sit back, because this is from Trump's own words and his own actions that I'm saying this. This is not from like the news, or a late night host telling me something. This is from his own shit. So he has been pretty much denying the seriousness of this virus from the very, very, very beginning. Now, if you're on the boat of you agree with him where, okay, the coronavirus isn't that serious. It's kind of like the flu. We'll get over it. Everything will pass by. It'll blow over. If you're in that, okay, then I can kind of understand where you're coming from, I guess. But if you do believe the coronavirus is a serious thing, and you turn over and watch Trump, and pretty much everything he does, everything he says is signaling to you that he's not taking this virus seriously. He's playing it down, even though he knows it's a serious thing, because we heard the Woodward tapes. He's anti-mask. He's anti-social distancing. He's in the beginning. He was like, "Oh, it'll blow over and it'll just go away by itself."
Yeah.
All these things, there's countless. There's a whole laundry list of things that he said that's just fucking retarded, right? So, because we're just talking about the coronavirus, we're not talking about all the other things that come with the presidency. We're not talking about his political policy, international policies. We're just talking about his handling of the coronavirus right now. Then, to me, he's done a terrible job. He literally lied to the people about the coronavirus.
You have to.
And he has been continuously lying and playing it down.
You have to lie.
Why do you have to lie?
Because if you tell the truth, let's say, oh my God, this thing's gonna kill you all, right? Everybody's gonna go panic. All the people hoarding the masks and shit. Does
that speak more to American culture than it does to, because
the whole country would just go into chaos.
But China did that. China basically said, "Oh, this thing is fucking serious. We're fucking locking down millions of people in a city. This is gonna kill you." And everyone was like, "Okay, let's take this shit seriously." And now we're all good.
China can do that, okay? Because Chinese people listen. Americans, we don't listen
to what the government says. Like, if you want to lock me down, fuck you. I'm going to kill you all, motherfuckers. Like,
that's true.
Okay, you're talking about two completely different type of people, right? Chinese people, they're very, very docile. If the government says, okay, stay home, I'm going to stay home.
So you think the president should be lying and playing it down to let more people get infected? Just to avoid a panic?
So the whole death rate
people should be panicking over it. If people were panicking over it earlier, then maybe less people would die. I don't know.
The whole death rate is like 0.2%, right? So that is...
What's the actual number right now in terms of total?
That's the actual like death rate. And it's not that bad. So if everybody gets infected, you're talking about X amount of people dying. It's kind of like just all old people anyway, so less payment to Social Security.
Wow. Okay.
How do you?
I'm trying to stay open-minded here. I'm trying to be cool, James. I'm trying to be cool.
So most of the people, they're not gonna die. It's a very small population, and then if you're gonna let the country go into chaos and forget about locking people down, you can't even get people to wear a mask.
Yeah.
How are you gonna get Americans to do anything? They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. Trump did the exact correct thing.
But if Trump came out strong and the whole party came out strong with being like saying the mask is the law.
Let me finish. So Trump actually has no power. The Fed doesn't have much power at all, unlike China, where the Fed says this happens. Trump, he actually doesn't have that much power. Whatever he says, people are not going to do anyways. So he gave the power to the governors. They're like, hey, each state, you guys kind of decide how your state runs. You guys know your state the best. Whether they're wearing masks, whether they're closed down restaurants and bars, you guys make the decision. Governors, you guys make it. And you can't. Texas is different from California. You can't have the same federal law that make everybody do the same thing. It's just not going to happen.
But I think you underestimate the amount of power that the president of the United States has over his own people. I think Trump does have a lot of influence and power over his followers, over his constituents.
Yes, he does. But he can't make everybody wear masks. He doesn't have the power to do that.
But that's okay, maybe, but that's debatable. But the point is, he didn't even try.
Yeah.
Right.
Like whether or not it would have been successful is debatable. But he didn't even try to get people to wear masks. He, from the get-go, he's like, this is nothing.
Yeah.
It's the fucking Kung flu.
Yeah.
It'll fucking just go away by itself. And he said this like back in like February or March. And he's like, in a month, this will go away.
So when we...
and here we are in November now, or October. You know what I mean? Like, it's so like... I just don't know how he can be... There's many ways that I agree that you can defend Trump on a lot of other things that might be unfairly criticized about him. But in terms of his handling of the coronavirus, from my own perspective of what I've seen from him directly, I don't think there is anything you can defend Trump with regarding the coronavirus, of his handling of the coronavirus. I think it is completely indefensible. I think... he blatantly lied. I mean, like, the fact that the whole, like, Bob Woodward tapes was not everyone's, like, just jumping up and, like, fucking burning the place down because of that is amazing to me. Because he's literally on tape fucking saying he knows how serious this is. This is going to kill a lot of people. It's much worse than the flu. And this was back, like February?
It's strategy, though.
And that he's going to lie to the American public. He's literally on tape saying
Are you saying that political leaders don't lie to the...
No, they've all lied.
They all lie.
They've all lied. They've all lied.
Like, I also...
But they shouldn't all get a pass either. And we're talking about Trump in terms of a coronavirus, an actual outbreak that... Like, it's a pandemic. He should not get a pass on that.
So you guys are saying he should be more strict. He should make it into more of a bigger deal. Everybody has to take it on more seriously, right?
No, he should have just been honest. Like, no matter where that road led, he was dishonest about a pandemic.
To be dishonest, his reasoning is to not let the economy and let the general public go into chaos.
But it's still going into chaos anyway.
It's
the
like
economy has plummeted.
Oh shit, this isn't coming. But you know what? I'm not going to tell the whole story to my kid. Like, I got to make sure the kid doesn't go crazy. Like, kind of that kind of lie, right?
Yeah, but if your kid's life was in danger, would you still lie?
You would still lie. Because you don't.
If that by not lying, you might save your kid's life. Like what? Like you don't. What kind of choice is that?
That's a bad example, but like, there has to be a certain kind of lie there to protect the population, I think.
So this is a difference of just, I think, principle. Like just like this like root principle, right? So it's like you have your argument. I understand it.
Yeah.
But I just don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even if you use just like, let's use another metaphor of for the mask, because I feel like the mask is just like a big factor in spreading and containing the virus, right? And one reason why Asian countries have been able to contain it a lot better is because of, people accepting the mask, right? Now, in the States, you never had the president once say out that everyone needs to wear a mask, or even take it to the next level of mandating. If you're in a public area, you need to wear a mask.
He let the governors decide. Like, if all the governors, if you think your state needs the mask, then you guys.
Yeah, but that's not leadership.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
at a time of a crisis, if you're letting your middle management be like, okay, you guys call the shots, like we're in a crisis right now, that will affect the outcome and
the bottom line of the company.
bottom line of the company, or the existence of this company. Hey, middle management, everyone, you guys decide what you want to tell your own groups. Like, that's not leadership. That's not why you elect a president.
But each state is so different. People in Montana and the way they live and how rural they are is completely different from New York. So you're gonna have the exact same mandate for people in Montana and New York?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Seatbelts isn't that a universal?
You think the virus gives a fuck whether this is Montana or New York? It doesn't recognize state lines.
Let's use seatbelts for example, right? If you're you have to wear a seatbelt.
Seatbelt's a law.
It's a law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's for your personal safety.
I actually disagree with that law completely as well. Because you can't harm anybody else other than yourself. Why is that a law? Like, it's my choice to wear a seatbelt or not.
Okay, so like you're in that camp. You're in that whole camp. So like that explains.
That's
like,
what
everything.
explains.
I can't hurt anybody but myself. Why is that a law? It doesn't make any sense. Give me a reason why that should be a law. Seriously.
Because it saves lives.
No, but I should have control of my own life, no?
Yeah, but it's about the messaging you put. So as an individual, you're thinking just completely as an individual right now, right? As like, okay, my decision, my life.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is it's the larger message, because when you spread a larger message of, hey, seatbelts, it's up to you, whatever you want to do, right? Then generations and after generations of kids growing up in that environment have the mentality of, hey, seatbelts are like whatever. Like, well, okay, I don't have to have a seatbelt. I would not want my child growing up in an environment in a society where they can just be like, hey, I can drink and drive, because drinking and driving.
No, drinking and driving, you're gonna kill other people. So there should be a law.
Okay, so I cannot wear a seatbelt. I can do it. It's my body, my choice, right?
I'm a firm believer that
it's about the larger messaging.
Shouldn't have any power over what you do to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
But here is a really good differentiation between the masks and the seatbelt. A seatbelt, maybe you have a point. Maybe you have a point, because it maybe only affects
just hurts
you.
yourself.
But a mask, because we're talking about a virus, without wearing a mask, and if you have the coronavirus, you are spreading that to other people. Yep. So it's no longer just limited to yourself.
Agreed.
It's about society's health.
Agreed.
Society safety, right? Community health. So
yeah, fucking say it. Exactly. Fucking say it. That's what's the big deal.
Wear the mask. He did. He never said don't wear a mask. He just says,
don't.
He's implied that several. He's made it very clear.
It's exactly what. Wear a mask if you want to wear a mask, and I think you should.
He said, wear a mask if you want, but I'm not going to wear a mask. He followed it up by saying that. Let's not forget that. He's like, wear a mask if you want, but I'm not going to wear a mask because I ain't no pussy.
This virus, the virus is so new. 2-3 months into this, when the thing virus started, I think nobody knows what the hell's going on, how dangerous it is, how how much it'll kill you. And then doctors are like all 50-50 on the wall. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. 50% of doctors are like, don't wear a mask. In America, yeah. Doctors literally on TV says, I'm Dr. blah, blah, blah. You don't need to wear a mask. Don't wear a mask.
I don't think there's a single credible, legitimate doctor.
No, later on.
That will advise you not to wear a mask.
They all changed when the thing that says it's like airborne also, and you can spread it when you have no symptoms. So it says at that point, they says, okay, everybody should wear a mask. They changed all their tone. But at the beginning, it was very 50-50, and there wasn't like a... And now that a year into it, then now we all know, okay, mask is effective. And yeah, everybody should wear a mask. But at the beginning, the very beginning, 3 months into it, nobody knows the answer.
Yeah, but Trump's still holding rallies where people attending rallies aren't wearing a mask and they're all bunched up right next to each other. It's like he's purposely holding these rallies now. It's like, okay, it's like, like I get it, you have to campaign, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like if you really cared about the virus,
I just think
he clearly doesn't care about.
Trump is the kind of person that you just have to understand. Look, what kind of person he is. He's not a person of principle. He is a person of 100% selfishness.
Of course.
So he's going to do or say whatever it takes to get a certain amount of votes, a certain amount of backing. And he understands now that his type of rhetoric now, he can lie. He doesn't care because his constituents don't care and his followers don't care. So he can be like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you buy into that, then, I don't want to get into that type of like judging a character or anything like that, but I mean, you just that's the person you're gonna support. You know, a person that has no moral value and all he cares about is himself.
But he actually does make America better. A lot of things. Let me explain.
Okay.
So he wakes up in the morning how to make America more richer and more prosperous. He got the taxes, that all of the tax relief from China that shouldn't be there. He canceled all that stuff. He goes into, let's say he goes into the WHO. He goes, why am I paying this bill every year? Nobody else is paying shit. Fuck that, I'm out, right? So all other presidents, they don't do that. So they kind of just play the ball. But he's the actual who goes in there and really fixes the things that should. NAFTA trade deals, it's unfair for the U.S., but it only benefits Canada and Mexico. He goes, fuck that, I'm out of that accord. Whatever that he feels is not good for America, he actually does something about it, whereas all the other presidents...
That's the best point you made. And because that's something I've always believed in as well. I've always felt that his actual policies, in terms of like the actual decisions he's making on policy...
He's making America better.
But you don't... The media never publicizes that.
Exactly.
Never talks about that. They talk about his tweets. They talk about his rallies. But they don't talk about the actual policies he's making. So like I'm on board with that shit.
And then he's put on a double standard. Like anything he does, that if it's a little bit bad, it gets blown out of proportion. Fucking Dick Cheney and Bush took us to war in Iraq that has no WMDs. He gets what? Scot-free. He should be on a military trial being judged for crimes against humanity. Okay? But what? Nobody says even a slight like bad word about Bush and Cheney, right?
I agree with you.
Imagine if Trump led U.S. into a war and didn't find any weapons there. Oh my God, he'd be like lynched.
But see, this is why I distrust all media.
Yeah.
You know, because like it's like you can't trust anything you see right now. And I've witnessed this personally when it comes to American media on China.
Yeah.
Because there is no objective, factual journalism regarding China in America. It doesn't exist. Everything is spun to make China the enemy. And the thing I'm worried about is like, you know, America is so determined and so resolved to make China its enemy. And people are believing what they're hearing about it, which is just because I can see that because I'm actually in China and I'm seeing the news and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not factual at all. It's not fact. It's like ridiculous, but people are believing it. Yeah. So it makes me think about, okay, well, what are my beliefs that I feel like, oh, I so believe in that maybe I'm just being brainwashed. So having had this experience, when we talk about Trump, even though, yes, I'm pretty kind of anti-Trump, but I'm pulling away right now, is the fact that like maybe my beliefs aren't so accurate anymore. Maybe my emotions are taking over and I'm not actually looking at the larger facts of things. And maybe I'm not looking at it from a completely fair perspective or a completely objective perspective, which is almost impossible these days. Because I've seen what it has done in other examples, primarily, you know, when it comes to China, things like that. So I've seen the spin. I've seen the misinformation dissected out there. So that applies to everything. It applies to Trump.
Yeah.
Right? Applies to the Black Lives Matter movement. Applies to all these things.
And then going back to what I started this conversation with, like, why is there so much hatred on him? Like, what has he actually done that is so bad for America that he's done? I mean, he's a dumbass on stage. He doesn't say the right stuff. He everything's wrong. His character, he lies here. But what has he done that harmed America so much?
Well, okay, let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
One time.
Did he get us into a war? No. Did he get us?
But okay, as with any leader of anything,
Yeah.
the buck stops with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what has he done for or not for America in terms of where it is now? If we look at America in its state today.
No. My question is, what has he done that's so bad that's earned him the reputation of, I want to pull this guy's guts out and set it on flame?
Well, let's look at the state of America today.
Uh-huh.
Is it not the most divided you can remember ever?
It's because of the media.
Since maybe like the Civil War, like the literal Civil War, like has it not been so divided?
That's not Trump's. It's not because of Trump that America's divided, though.
Hey, the buck stops with him. When you're the leader, like you can't be a CEO of the company and the company is drowning, and you'd be like, well, that's not because of me. Hey, no matter what, the buck stops with you, buddy, right? So it's like, let's look at the state that America is in today.
Okay.
Because of all these things, whether it's racial tensions, political division, like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like poverty, like everything. Homelessness, the lack of employment. Hey, man, the buck stops with him. Like, and I would say this if it was any president. It has nothing to do with Trump. If it was Obama in office today, I'd be like, the buck stops with him.
Well, but everything's kind of like crap right now because of the coronavirus. If the coronavirus had it not happened,
so who didn't fucking control the coronavirus?
Okay, hold on. I understand. So if the coronavirus didn't happen, he would win this election hands down, like no problem. Okay,
I agree with that.
everybody
100%.
is living good. Nobody's like
Even with the coronavirus, like it's a 50-50 toss-up, like who's going to win this election.
Yeah.
Imagine if the coronavirus didn't happen.
Exactly.
Like Trump would clearly win.
People are living pretty good in America the past 4 years up until the coronavirus happened, and then everything kind of went to shit. But if it didn't, I just think he would win it by a landslide because everybody's doing good. Everybody's making money. The stock market's high it's ever been, right?
Oh, is it right now?
Before the coronavirus happened.
Yeah, but you can't judge the economy just based on the stock market, man.
Right, but I'm just saying that people's lives.
But what do you mean by everybody's making money? I know a ton of people in America that are not making money at all right now. In fact, it's the opposite.
Not right now, but prior to the outbreak.
Even before the outbreak.
Before the
I
outbreak.
have plenty of friends exactly like.
Really?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay.
Well, unemployment and homelessness
Was
was
that that's the lowest
no,
it's ever been?
it was a problem before the outbreak, and the outbreak just made it just like fucking on turbo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
So, okay, I don't know, but like prior to the outbreak, everybody was living pretty good in my field of view. There weren't any like, everybody's happy. All this, everything, like I can tell like people are buying new cars. The RV sales are really good. Like people are going on vacation. It's just
you bought an RV, right?
Yeah, I bought an RV.
Yeah, we gotta travel around in your RV. We gotta do that food trip. No, I'm serious. Like we have to do that food trip sometime in America. I gotta stop by all the good food places.
RVs are fun, man, because you can just drive everywhere. And then America's set up really well because there's all these campsites that you pay $40-$50 a day, and then you hook up with electricity, water, sewer, everything. Yeah.
No, now we're talking about RVs. No, but like you know, James, you know I always appreciate your point of view.
Yeah.
Right?
I come in, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying Trump is great. I just want to give a different perspective into this conversation because this conversation has always been bashing
It's
Trump.
so one-sided,
It's so one-sided. Everybody sits down and go, fuck him.
Yeah.
I want to fuck that guy. Like
I've noticed that.
There's nothing. There's no conversation. And you know why they want to fuck him? Because they don't like his character. That's it. I just don't like his demeanor. I don't like the way he talks. I don't like he's selfish. That's why I don't like him. That's it. So I'm just bringing a little different perspective into the conversation. That's it.
And I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. And I agree with that perspective in terms of like, look, I'm not pro-Trump at all, but in many ways, he has gotten an unfair shake of things.
Definitely.
In terms of like his like how he's publicized.
Democrats tried to take him out the day he sat into office. They've been just scheming.
It's been a hit job, yeah.
And trying to get him out of, trying to impeach him. Like,
Trump
nonstop.
hasn't done himself any favors at the same time either.
He doesn't know how to not be himself. You know, he's kind of like
But you can separate a person's character and their actions? Because you're saying that we're so like reactive based off of his character and his, you know, whatever. But like, if you're not going to judge a person by their character,
I would judge a person by what he does. He could be a pompous ass dick, but if he's making the stuff that he does is bettering my life. But I feel like
they go hand in hand.
Does it?
Of course. Your decisions that you make are based off of your character.
Well, then I would say he wakes up in the morning. He has good intentions for America. He doesn't wake up and says like, I'm trying to make myself more money. How do I make my life better at the end of the day?
Yeah, he's trying to make the other rich.
He's trying to make the other rich.
Continue to be rich. That's Trump. I mean, that's why like people who make good money, they're down with him.
So the other side is the Democrats. They're going, okay, let's take the money from the rich and give it to the poor, right?
No, that's not how Democrats work either.
That's how Democrats think?
No, that's the message they convey.
Yeah.
But that's not how they work either.
Do you, Trump aside, how are you guys on this stance? Do you guys think the rich should be taxed to a certain point where the money should be more evenly distributed into the society? Or do you guys think like, hey, you do you make as much money you want, that's good for you. Government should have a little less hands-on on type of thing. Like, you know, just out of those two selections, which guys are you guys more favor of? Take more from the rich and give it to the poor, or leave it alone, let things play out?
I think it depends on a lot of things, and I think it depends on how the rich, quote unquote, are taxed, and the competence of the system or government that surrounds this particular system, right? Like it all takes into account, right? So it's like, I believe in the idea of taxing the rich on certain things. Like Andrew Yang had basically a technology tax, basically, where like tech companies are taxed because they're using your personal information. Okay. And because it's your personal information and they're profiting off of your personal information, you should see some sort of dividend from it, which makes sense to me.
Okay.
So that kind of model makes sense to me. Now, do I think it should just be a blind tax on really wealthy people just to give money to the poor just 'cause? Maybe not. But I think when there is a reason and logic behind the taxing, I am all for it. Just like if Facebook, they're selling your personal information off of your searches, off of your activity online to other third parties and making a profit from it, should you have a dividend from that? I think, yeah. I think that makes sense to me.
That's very specific.
So that is a case in how it's being taxed and the logic behind it that I am in agreement of. But if it was done maybe in a different way, maybe I wouldn't, you know what I mean? So it really depends on specifically how it's being taxed, why you're taxing, how much you're taxing, and the competency of the system around it to actually enforce it and to regulate it so that it works, you know? And so that the money isn't just going into the pockets of the politicians and leaders and fat cats, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, that's basically my answer.
In other words, it's not black and white. It's not blindly taxing the rich and giving to the poor.
I mean, but this goes on to a more basic question that, to me, I think is much more worthwhile talking about. Well, maybe not much more worthwhile, but it's more fun, maybe. Is that why do we have political parties to begin with? And why are there just like basically two that are running America? There's Republican and Democrat. I mean, there's others, but like those don't mean shit.
It just divides the country.
Exactly.
That's it.
Like to me, that never made sense. Like why?
It should be one party.
Like why do candidates running for the presidency of America, being the leader of a country, of any country, have to be like, okay, I must identify with this one political party first.
It doesn't make any sense.
In order for me to get my message to you.
You know the answer.
I know the answer, but it's a kind of a rhetorical question. But it's like, why does there have to be like political parties at all? Why can we not just listen to people based on the merits of their ideas and their position, their perspective, and their plans and their strategy? But why do we always have to attach it to, first, is he a Democrat or a Republican? Oh, he's a Republican? Okay, and then I'll listen to him.
Well, then it's like immediate biases.
Immediate biases. And then it corrupts the candidate itself, too, because they have to compromise a lot of things to fall into line and into favor with that political party for that political party to push them to become a candidate in the first place. So it's like playing gatekeeper, right? It's like you're a gatekeeper.
It just shows the corruption. That's all it means. It just shows corruption, honestly.
Yeah. So, like, why can't people just want to be candidate for presidency of the United States and just be like, okay, here are my ideas, regardless of what political party I am. Do you agree with my ideas or not? like, why can't it be that simple?
It should
and
be.
why do we need to filter first?
It should be that way.
I'm Republican. You're Democrat.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's not human nature.
What the fuck is that shit about?
It's not human nature to be that way.
Yeah, we talk about tribalism a lot,
Which goes right back to that. Exactly.
But it's so blatant and it's so stupid that I don't understand why more people aren't like questioning this.
Because
No one
the
questions
people in
it.
power know
Everyone just chooses a side.
the people in power know that the general person, the sheep of the world, they need to relate. And what's the easiest way to relate is by having a big idea, right? Or a big group that represents a big idea. And that's where you have these two parties. And that's the easiest way to gather the sheep at the end of the day. That's it. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, if I'm going to say something a little bit on the abstract level, people in power or people who are filthy rich or have had the privilege of being in that inner circle of understanding how to get to that power or how to have that amount of money. I mean, they're kind of in this little club, right? I mean, whether or not there really is this club, whatever. But abstractly speaking, they're in this club of, well, we kind of get it. We kind of get how to manipulate the system to gain this type of award, right? And that's how we're going to play. And media is part of it, and that's one of their tools, And that's just how it works. That's the world we live in. That's what government is. Government is that too. It's the people that got it. I understand what power means. I'm going to attain power, and I'm going to keep power. And how do I get power is by control. And how do I control is through X, Y, and Z. Right?
And forcing people to take sides.
Yeah, that's it. That's like the simplest way. It's like woke culture. Sorry, what I just said is woke culture. That's woke, not anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Woke culture is understanding that you're living in a world of power. That's it. Done. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Yeah, I see that. God, woke culture has been so fucking just...
Everything else is irrelevant. It's just taking our time, like, to discuss what we're doing right now on a podcast. It's just like,
well, it's occupying people's thoughts and energy into picking sides versus discussing like the reality of things.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's all it is.
So who do you guys think is gonna win?
So everyone's busy taking sides.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think is gonna win?
Ooh,
Come on.
I don't know,
Come on.
man.
Come on, let's put some money on this.
I really think it's a 50-50 toss-up right
That's
now.
why it's more fun.
Yeah. Who do I think is gonna win, huh? Oh, God. I think Biden will come out on top on this one. But I think it's razor close. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump won. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. But I think the tide is slightly favoring Biden right now. And this is without any real education on the matter. This is just my own instinct.
Vegas odds, Trump is the underdog. You have to pay 150 to win 100. Where
you can bet on the election in Vegas?
Yeah.
Of course. Oh.
Where Trump, the Biden.
Did you put money down?
I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Trump is the underdog, so you put down 100, you get 150 back. Biden, you have to put down I forgot the exact number, okay. More than 100 to get 100 back. Mm-hmm. So Trump is the underdog.
So the Vegas odds have Biden winning as well.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Who's going to win?
I'll put Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the underdog.
No. I'm not saying if you were betting. Like, I mean, like, who do you actually think is gonna win?
Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you think is gonna win, Howie?
I think Biden's gonna win, and I think Trump's not gonna go down without a battle.
Ooh, what do you think is gonna happen? What do you mean? Like he's gonna
don't relinquish power. I won't
He's
step
not
down.
gonna
like
leave.
he's gonna have the last stand in the White House.
It's not him.
He's gonna like barricade
It's
himself
not
in
him.
there.
No,
Like-
It's not him having the last stand. It's his fucking people.
Ooh, okay.
Well, him as well. He can't. U.S. has. They always talk about this. It hasn't had a time where the president don't step down. And they don't know what's gonna happen.
I'm telling you right now.
Who's gonna enforce it? You know?
Exactly. Trump. I'm telling you, Trump is so enamored. Trump is so enamored by Xi Jinping.
Yeah. Remember when he met Xi Jinping? He's like, you're the emperor now.
Dude, Trump sees what Xi Jinping is doing,
Yeah.
and Trump's like, dude, I can do that.
The real top experts, like the real people behind the scenes in America, they're afraid of China because they see what's working here, and they see the kind of progress that China's making, and they're like, oh no, we can't let that slide. We can't let that fucking slide.
Here's an interesting question: do you guys think China want Trump to win or Biden to win?
I think China wants Trump to win.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think China knows how to handle Trump. It's an evil that they know how to understand. They know how to speak his language.
Biden's not that strong though. He's kind
Biden's not that strong, but it's not up to Biden. Again, like it's the powers that be behind.
Don't you
right?
think China?
Even with Trump, it's the powers that be behind. So it's like, I think, I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I think China knows how to deal with Trump. I think they have a game plan for Trump. And so I feel like to them, and I think outwardly to a lot of countries, they see that the division and turmoil that America is in now. And if you're a country of a rival power, you'll be like, okay, well, keep that guy in power because it's just going to keep going downhill. And that makes us stronger. You know what I mean? That makes you weaker. So it's just like, I think if they were to choose, they wouldn't have any issue with Trump being reelected. And in fact, they might even favor it. But again, this is just me, an idiot, talking. I don't know.
And meddle in election, right?
I'm the opposite.
Okay.
I think what Trump has done with all this anti-China rhetoric and these tariffs and all that stuff has made China kind of realign its strategy a little bit. Anytime you have to realign your strategy, that's like that person symbolizes a certain type of catalyst, where you have to kind of you're more on your toes now. So you say that China understands Trump and knows how to handle, but I feel like maybe, but like I feel like China's just constantly needing to adjust now. For better or for worse, who knows? We don't know yet. But China's adjusting. You know what I mean? It's adjusting its game plan a bit based off of what Trump is doing.
I think what Trump has done has been a godsend for
China.
Because
speed up its independence, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because what if you're leading a country of this many people, what is of primary, like paramount importance to you is for those people to be united behind you and behind a cause. Yeah. And what has Trump done? Trump has demonized China. So China and all its people, all its industry leaders and just normal people are like, fuck that. We're Chinese. We're fucking proud to be Chinese.
Yeah.
We're good on our own. Hey, everybody, let's fucking do our own shit. Let's make our own industry. Let's build our own products.
Yep.
Let's ship our own things, right? Let's build our own economy. So everyone here is now banded together because we have a common enemy now, right? We have a common cause to rally behind. And if everything was kumbaya in the world, that might not have happened.
And the cream on top is Trump divides America more and more.
Yes.
You know that?
While uniting China more and more.
Exactly.
It's like literally Trump has awoken the lion.
Yeah. so now China is like cracking its neck, banging its fist, like, okay, game on, let's play. Let's do this. You know what I mean? And everyone's like ready to roll now, and everything's speeding up here. Everyone's like national pride is at its all-time high here. Yeah. Like everything is happening here in favor of China's development, while it's in disservice of American development.
But then you also have a lot more anti-American rhetoric here, anti-American. Yeah, just making.
Well, because I think that comes from the fact that like it didn't start that way. Like the people I talk to, the locals I've spoken to cab drivers, I've spoken to this like random people on the street, people in the park, whatever. The biggest difference between their mentalities is that I feel like in America, it's much more of an aggressive anti-China kind of sentiment. But in China, it's not like aggressive. It's like, oh, Americans don't like us? Okay, well, then fuck them if they don't like us. All right, I guess if they don't like us, then we got to do our shit then. You know what I mean? Like, it's much more like reactionary. It's like, oh, like they feel that way about us? A lot of them are surprised, like, oh, they want to go to war with us? Like, what? Like, they're surprised at first, and then they're like, okay, well, then fuck them. Where in America, it's more like, fuck China. They're fucking trying to like steal our jobs or do this or like meddle in our elections. Like it's much more aggressive and much more deliberate. Yeah. Whereas in China, I feel the sentiment is much more reactionary. That's the biggest difference I see.
I don't want to detour, but I just need to explain why I was laughing for a second. Okay. It's because of what you were saying. I was picturing you
like people in the parks,
like walking around the park, like, "Hey, what do you think about America?" Just like going up to random people, and be like, "Hey, what? Hey." What do you think about America?
What do you think about America?
Like you're like on the spot like a news reporter.
But to add on to that though, I feel a little bit different. It's not disagree or anything, but it's just I feel like Chinese people know a lot more about Americans than Americans know about Chinese.
100%.
There's so much more information flowing here regarding U.S. and how many missiles it has and how many blah blah blah. And there's a lot of news here in China and on the internet that talks about the U.S. and they learn a lot about the U.S. Whereas I'm telling you, Americans know nothing about Chinese, how they think, Chinese people, daily lives.
No idea.
Zero.
But the dangerous thing is they think they do. You know, they think that everything that they're being informed or told in the American media, like they believe it. Like they believe, oh, that's happening. Okay, then that is what it's like. And then they start formulating all these ideas.
Yeah, they think everyone in China is like enslaved by the government, like literally walking with head down.
Exactly.
But it's a mentality thing where the Chinese mentality is a lot more curious. Like, oh, like because before all this shit happened, right? Like decades ago, before all this shit happened. Like the Chinese name, like I mean, it's always been, but the Chinese name for America is Meiguo, the beautiful country. It was a place to look up and aspire to be.
It's a beautiful name.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I want to go there. I want to visit there one day, right? So there's always been this openness and curiosity for Chinese people towards America to learn and understand American culture, America, and what it's all about. But America, being kind of like the number one superpower for so long, has kind of sat up on its high horse where like we're number one. We don't need to give a shit about anybody else because we're the best country in the world. We're the best. We're the most free. We're the best. America number one, everything, right? So it's ingrained in you growing up there where you don't give a shit about anywhere else anymore.
Yeah, I've just been brainwashed for 5 years.
So there's no desire to even or curiosity to even learn about China. Like there's like
but that's the American way in general. It's not about China.
It's like I don't
give
a shit about China.
We are the best.
Yeah, because America is just you just think about yourself. It's a selfish nature. I mean, that it goes back to the culture.
But it's the mentality. It's like there is no effort to learn anything about China.
Yeah.
Whereas it's different in China. Like people have an effort to learn something about America.
Now, of course, we're generalizing right now in terms of like a general public, right? Because obviously you're going to have individuals that really care about other cultures and stuff like that. But 100% agree with you. Like in general, the American way of thinking is, I mean, we're number one, and our culture is the best. We're a melting pot. Why do I care about anything else?
Yeah, other countries should be learning from us. We shouldn't be learning about other countries. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's the way of things. And look, it honestly brings me no joy to say this. But look, one big thing I've been trying to do lately in the past few years is really look at time and patterns from a macro perspective, because we always look at things from our own, in the perspective of years, in our own lifetime, every short term, right? But empires do not rise and fall within years or even decades. It happens over like centuries. Like the Roman Empire did not fall within like 5-10 years. It happened over centuries of time. But the fall of the Roman Empire started like, hundreds of years before the actual end of the Roman Empire. Like these things decline slowly when you're talking about these massive superpowers. Hey, in terms of a macro picture on time and geography, are we looking at a starting point of a general shift in power right now? Like very could be. This very could be the beginning of the decline of American as the premier superpower.
Isn't that kind of short in terms of what you just
50
said?
50 years from now, 100 years from now, like the landscape could be so different. And we would be looking at this time to be like, okay, this is kind of when it started.
U.S. only has been the superpower for about 100 years. It's kind of short, no?
It's kind of short.
So it should be a little longer.
Well,
You don't know.
It could be.
We don't know.
But from what we're seeing now and seeing, like, and it's also, things might speed up because the world has sped up as well.
Yeah.
So changes.
Technology has allowed.
Yeah. So changes in kind of world dynamics and world superpower has also sped up along with the pace of the world. So as where things happened very slowly back in the Roman times, right? Like things happen super quickly now. So that could also be an indication. And, when you're looking around the landscape and you're looking at competitors, you're looking at Asia. And I'm not just talking about China, but I'm talking about Asia as a whole. As a whole right now is on the come up big time.
Do you think...
And the world has always shifted between Asian and Western cultures, from European empires to Asians. Before it was like the Persian Empire, all these things. Mongolian Empire, like it always shifted between Asian powers and like kind of European and like Anglo-Saxon like powers. Like it's almost bounced back and forth.
I think you're
like
kind of getting that feedback because you're here. The feedback when I'm in the States is the general feeling is that China's going downhill. We're getting messages.
That's funny. That's the denial.
But that's the same. But it goes on both sides, right? The message we're getting that China's gonna, because of coronavirus, it's gonna go to shit. The economy's gonna shit. They don't know what to do. Everything's on a downward trend in Asia. You talk to American, they'll be like, "Fuck no, I don't want to go to China. Hell no, I'm not going."
They
there.
think this is like the hot spot.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like Chinese are like, "No, I don't want to go to America because
Exactly,
like I don't want to get infected in America." Like,
but each side we do get programmed wherever you are. So there is some programming here that, China's
100%, but we can speak for ourselves because we, unlike those people you're talking about who haven't been on both sides, who most of them probably never even stepped foot in China before.
Right.
We have. So we can speak from actual observation, like firsthand account. Like we can speak on it, so we don't need to take their account. Like, I mean, they're in denial.
Also, another thing I want to add in, I'm going to speak for you, Justin, is living here all this time, we don't read or watch local news.
Yeah.
Right? So we get our news internationally.
Yeah.
But we live here.
Yeah.
So that way of thinking, like we still see the rise of China. We still see.
So we're not brainwashed by the local media at all, because like we don't even watch. Yeah. I don't watch Chinese news. I don't even understand Chinese news because like they just like talk so fast. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So everything we're talking about is from firsthand observation and experience.
Right?
Yeah. Firsthand. It's not like I'm making this shit up, and you know this. Like I'm preaching to the choir, talking to you. You know this too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think probably should have ended it, right? It's like,
yeah, why not? I guess we ran a little long, but it was fun though.
It was fun.
Yeah.
We haven't like kind of opened up these can of worms in a while. We kind of tried to stay away from it, but
today
I like
these kind of conversations because like this is
it's
really
real
about opinion.
It's real talk,
and we're just talking opinions as opposed to like just speaking about like what we know and stuff like that. No, we're riffing.
If everybody just sits around and says "fuck Trump," what's the fun?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No. That's why like I appreciate having someone from a different.
James,
point of
welcome
view.
back.
Thank you.
Welcome back, man.
Welcome back, brother.
You guys don't know how lucky you guys are being here. Actually,
why?
I want to add in is that the social life here in Shanghai is so convenient. That's all I'm saying. It's convenient. Where you can be part of it. You can be not part of it. You can step out. You guys have eyes here. In the States, my friends, close circle, they're just dreading life with like their kids, and then they're no nannies. They're working nonstop.
The commute.
Zero social life. Like trying to get a dinner together is like impossible.
Well, what you just said right there is a perfect argument to say that the American way is not the perfect way.
Booyah! Obviously, we're joking.
Yes,
I think we are. I think you are.
Just playing around.
So being here in Shanghai, oh my God, just like all these new restaurants opening, all these little bars.
But Shanghai is a bubble itself.
It is.
Shanghai is a bubble.
But you gotta appreciate it though.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you have
This place
to
is amazing.
You can't be thinking like, oh, everywhere's like this.
Shanghai.
Why do you think it's so hard for me to leave Shanghai right now?
So cool here.
Like I don't know anywhere else I can go and have a more convenient lifestyle.
Taipei.
No way. No way.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
I never lived there. I'm just fucking.
Taipei?
No
No
way.
You can't compare Taipei with
Taipei is like a
Shanghai.
third-tier city right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Shanghai, of all this I travel. Shanghai is the most, one of the most advanced and definitely the most convenient city
Oh, it's so convenient.
I have ever seen and witnessed.
And also metropolitan.
Yeah.
It's literally like a New York, but even more.
Yeah. On steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is mind-blowing if you think about it. Because New York used to be the mecca of...
The pinnacle of like a metropolitan skyline.
Yeah.
The hub of like metropolis.
Like the hot pot of culture.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Shanghai is a hot pot of culture.
But we can preach all day long. You won't really understand it or know it or even believe it until you spend some time here. And that's the thing. The people we're talking about are friends and, people we've grown up with or countrymen back in the United States. The vast majority of them, 99% of them, I guess, I don't know, have never been out here. So they don't know. They can only believe what they hear in the news, which is complete lies.
I was such a farmer the other day when I sat down at a restaurant. I didn't know the menus by QR code.
Oh shit, that's right.
So is that something new that's changed since you were?
Yeah, we don't have that in America.
No. But last time you were in Shanghai, they didn't have that.
Some did, but I didn't.
It's like the standard now.
I didn't experience it. Okay, and what blew my mind more wasn't just that because I've heard about it, I've seen it, so I know.
Okay.
When I started ordering, and my wife started ordering, our orders are listed under our own names, like what I ordered and what she ordered, all listed into the same app. That just blew my mind. Like, people don't have to be like, hey, order that for me. Yeah. We could just do it ourselves on our own phone, dude.
Technology is a doozy out here.
And then when we order from the table, the robot brings over the food.
Jesus.
This is in Beijing at some shitty restaurant, like a shitty little restaurant.
Oh, like a literal robot is bringing over food.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm showing a video right now to the guys. I was at like some really small little local restaurant in Beijing, like not high-end premium at all. We ordered our meal from the QR code, and then a robot shows up 5 minutes later with the food.
Like a literal robot.
Yeah, literal robot.
It's a robot.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, James. Thank you again. Love you. Good talk, bro.
Good talk.
Happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween,
We
everybody.
should do this more often.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm Justin.
And I'm Howie.
That was James. And we love you. Be well. Be good. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers. All right. Peace. Bye.
As the sun will see